Ghosts? Never believed in them. I mean, who has time for such fantasies in a city that never sleeps? City life doesn't leave much room for that kind of thing. The hustle and bustle, the constant noise, the endless stream of people. Skyscrapers and sirens drown out any whispers from the beyond. The city is alive, pulsating with energy, leaving no space for the supernatural. But that was before the move, before Blackwood Manor, a place that seemed to exist in a different realm altogether. My wife, Sarah, inherited the old place. It was a surprise, an unexpected twist in our urban lives, a rambling Victorian manor, shrouded in ivy and silence, miles from the city. It stood there, almost forgotten by time, surrounded by dense woods. I was hesitant, of course. The city was my comfort zone, my reality. This place felt like stepping into a different world. The place reeked of forgotten memories. Dust-covered furniture, cobwebs in every corner, and an air of abandonment. Its shadows seemed to hold their breath. Every corner, every hallway, felt like it was watching, waiting. The first few days were unsettling. We tried to settle in, make it our own, but the house had other plans. Floorboards creaked beneath our feet. Each step echoed through the empty halls, a reminder of the house's age and secrets. The wind howled like a mournful spirit through the eaves. It was as if the house itself was alive, breathing, whispering. It was the silence, though, that was the most unnerving. A silence so profound it felt like a presence in itself, a heavy, expectant silence that pressed in on us. It was as if the house was waiting for something or someone. And in that silence, I began to question everything I thought I knew about the world.
Then came the night, the first cry. It was a Friday, I remember. Rain lashed against the windows. We were just drifting off to sleep when it pierced the silence. A child's cry, thin and high-pitched, full of a terror that froze the blood.
I sat bolt upright in bed, my eyes wide with fear.
I told her it was just the wind, the old house settling, but even as I said it, I felt a shiver crawl down my spine.
The next day the silence returned, heavy, watchful. It was as if the house itself was holding its breath, waiting. Our daughter Lily was the first to see it. She was playing in her room, a bright, airy space we'd tried to make our own. I was downstairs making coffee when I heard her scream. I ran up the stairs, my heart pounding.
Lily was huddled in a corner, her eyes wide with terror.
"Daddy," she sobbed. "The little boy, in the corner. He was crying."
There was no one there. The room was empty. I tried to rationalize, to explain it away, but Lily was adamant. She had seen a boy, a sad little boy, standing in the corner of her room. Things escalated quickly after that. It was as if the house had been waiting for the right moment to reveal its true nature. And once it did, there was no turning back. The atmosphere grew heavier, and the air seemed to crackle with an unseen energy. Footsteps in the dead of night. They echoed through the hallways, each step a reminder that we were not alone. The sound was unmistakable, a slow, deliberate pacing that sent shivers down our spines. Objects moving on their own. Chairs would slide across the floor, books would fall off shelves, and doors would creak open and shut without any apparent cause. It was as if the house itself was alive, playing tricks on us, testing our resolve. Whispers, just on the edge of hearing. They were faint, almost imperceptible, but always there, lurking in the background. Sometimes they sounded like a conversation, other times like a single voice calling out, but always just beyond our understanding. The house was alive, and it was becoming increasingly clear that we weren't welcome. The walls seemed to close in on us, the shadows grew darker, and the sense of foreboding was impossible to ignore. It was as if the house was trying to drive us away, to reclaim its space. We tried to ignore it, to pretend everything was normal. We went about our daily routines, clinging to the hope that it was all just our imagination. But deep down, we knew that something was terribly wrong. But the fear was a living thing, growing stronger with each passing day. It seeped into our minds, our hearts, making it impossible to relax, to feel safe. Every creak, every whisper, every shadow became a source of terror. We were living on edge, our nerves stretched taut. Sleep became a distant memory, replaced by restless nights filled with nightmares and the constant feeling of being watched. The house had become a prison, and we were its captives.
One evening I was alone in the study, trying to lose myself in work. The room was dimly lit, the only sound the scratching of my pen on paper. I hoped that by focusing on my tasks, I could drown out the unsettling atmosphere that permeated the house. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows like skeletal fingers. The storm seemed to mirror the turmoil inside the house, each gust of wind a reminder of the chaos that surrounded us. The windows shook violently, as if they too were trying to escape. A sudden gust slammed a door shut, and I jumped, my heart hammering in my chest. The noise was deafening in the silence, a stark contrast to the quiet that had settled over the house. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my racing heart. That's when I saw it. A fleeting glimpse of a figure in the doorway. It was just a shadow, barely visible in the dim light, but it was enough to send a chill down my spine. I blinked, hoping it was just a trick of the light, but the figure remained. A child, small and pale, with eyes filled with a sorrow that chilled me to the bone. The child's gaze was haunting, a mixture of sadness and longing that seemed to pierce through me. I wanted to reach out, to offer comfort, but I was frozen in place. Then it was gone, vanished as quickly as it had appeared. The doorway was empty, the hallway silent once more. I was left standing there, my mind racing with questions and my heart heavy with a sense of dread. The house had shown me its secrets, and I knew that things would never be the same again.
Mrs. Hawthorne, our elderly neighbour, confirmed our fears. We found her tending her roses, her face etched with a lifetime of rural wisdom.
Sarah, desperate for answers, told her everything.
Mrs. Hawthorne listened patiently, her gaze distant.
Blackwood Manor, she said finally, her voice hushed, holds a sad tale. A family once lived there, happy and full of life. But one stormy night, tragedy struck. Their young son, playing near the river, was swept away by the current.
They never found his body, she continued, her voice barely a whisper. They say his spirit, unable to find peace, still roams the manor, searching for his family. We couldn't stay. We packed our belongings, our movements frantic. Lily refused to enter her room, her eyes darting nervously around. She hadn't spoken of the boy since that day, but I knew she saw him everywhere.
As I was carrying down the last of the boxes, I felt a cold spot settle over me. The air grew heavy, the silence oppressive. And then I saw him.
The boy stood at the top of the stairs, his small form outlined against the dim light. His eyes, filled with an unbearable sadness, met mine. For a moment, time seemed to stop, then just as quickly he was gone. We left Blackwood Manor that night, drove away without looking back. The silence followed us, the heavy, watchful silence of the countryside. We found a new home, a bright and modern house in a bustling suburb. We tried to forget, to move on, but the memory of Blackwood Manor and the ghostly child who haunted its halls lingered. Lily still wakes up crying sometimes. Her small frame shivers under the weight of unseen fears, and her sobs echo through the quiet night, a haunting reminder of the past. She doesn't speak of the boy anymore, but I know she remembers. The memories linger in her eyes, a distant look that speaks volumes of the silent pain she carries. The fear in her eyes tells me everything. It's a fear that has taken root deep within her, a fear that no comforting words or warm embraces can dispel.
As for me, I can't shake the feeling that we brought something back with us from Blackwood Manor, something cold and unseen. It lingers in the corners of our home, a silent observer of our every move, something that whispers in the shadows. At night, when the house is still, I hear it, a faint, almost imperceptible murmur that sends chills down my spine.
The city doesn't feel the same anymore. The skyscrapers seem to loom, casting long, ominous shadows that stretch across the streets. The once familiar skyline now feels alien, as if the city itself has changed. The sirens sound like mournful cries. Each wail of the siren is a reminder of the unseen dangers that lurk in the darkness. The silence is different now, a heavy, oppressive silence that weighs down on us. It's not the heavy silence of the countryside, but a hollow silence, filled with the echoes of things unseen. The empty streets and deserted alleyways seem to whisper secrets, secrets that are best left unspoken. Blackwood Manor stands empty, I know. Its grand halls and opulent rooms are now silent, devoid of life. But the silence is deceptive, and yet I can't help but feel that it's not truly empty. The shadows seem to move, and the air is thick with a presence that cannot be seen but is deeply felt. That somewhere in its darkened halls and dusty corners, a small, sad boy still searches for his family, his footsteps echoing through the empty rooms, forever lost in the echoing silence of a haunted house. His presence is a constant reminder of the past, a past that refuses to be forgotten. The house may be empty, but it is full of memories, full of echoes of a time long gone. Sometimes I find Lily's drawings scattered around the house. They are simple, childlike sketches of a family, a house, and a small boy standing alone. They are her way of coping, of making sense of the incomprehensible. Each drawing is a window into her mind, a glimpse of the turmoil that lies beneath her quiet exterior. They speak of a longing, a desire to understand and to find closure. We try to move on, to create new memories and to find joy in the little things. But the past is always there, lurking in the shadows, a silent companion that we cannot escape. We find solace in each other, in the love and support that binds us together. We laugh, we play, and we cherish the moments of happiness that come our way. And as the sun sets over the city, casting a warm golden glow over the skyline, we find a sense of peace. The shadows may still linger, but we face them together with hope in our hearts and the strength to carry on. For in the end, it is love that fills the emptiness, that gives us the courage to face the unknown. And it is love that will guide us through the darkness towards a brighter tomorrow.